Here comes Sims cutting through the lane, floating one up and watching it splash. 10 straight points. A blitz to open the game. The Indiana Fever weren't waiting for Minnesota to settle in. They were already burning the court down. The Lynx called timeout, but the Fever huddle didn't need a speech. They knew exactly what they were doing. Caitlin Clark was on the bench. 5 rotation players were missing. Yet Indiana was swinging like a team convinced nothing could break them. That's what made Kelsey Mitchell's words afterward matter so much. She looked around that locker room at a team missing its face of the league and still riding a 3-game win streak, and told them something simple but powerful. You've seen our growth. It wasn't about excuses or who wasn't there. It was about who was left and how those players refused to fold. Just a couple weeks earlier, this story looked dead. 4 losses in 5 games, bodies dropping to injury, fans wondering if Indiana even had enough to survive the playoff push. Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, Chloe Beebe, Ari McDonald, all gone. That's not a rotation gap, that's a crater. Most franchises in that position limp to the finish line. But Stephanie White drilled one message into her roster: be where your feet are. Stop worrying about who's absent. Lock in on the moment, the role, the next possession. That mantra turned survival into a weapon. It showed in their approach to Minnesota. The Fever didn't sneak into the game. They stormed it. 10-0 before the Lynx even knew what hit them. Deflections on defense, bodies on the floor, second chances on the glass. The execution wasn't flawless, but the intensity was undeniable. When Minnesota clawed back, Indiana's response wasn't panic. It was poise. That's how a team without its stars still walked away with its first winning record since 2015. But this wasn't about one night. It was about players stepping into moments no one predicted. Aaliyah Boston turned into a quarterback from the block, drawing doubles, skipping passes to shooters, and still shattering her own rebounding marks. Natasha Howard balanced the front court, knocking down shots and wrestling under the rim so Boston didn't have to do it all alone. Lexi Hull became everywhere at once, switching across defenders, guarding bigger forwards, hitting jumpers without needing a play drawn for her. Then came Odyssey Sims. 15 points off the bench, attacking like she'd been waiting for this moment all year. New season starts Sunday, she said afterward, and it felt like more than a catchphrase. It felt like a reset button for Indiana's resilience. Aerial Powers followed her lead, burying back-to-back threes just as the Lynx were threatening to steal momentum. Those shots ripped the air out of Minnesota's comeback and told the league Indiana wasn't here to make up numbers. At the center of all of it was Mitchell. For the first time in franchise history, a Fever player is averaging over 20 points a game. Defenses draped her in traps, doubled her off screens, bumped her at every cut. She answered by rewriting the record book anyway. But what stood out wasn't just the scoring, it was the leadership. Knowing when to demand the ball, when to swing it, when to calm her teammates in crunch time. She trusted role players to take big shots, and they rewarded her. That's why this roster feels so different now. Because the superstar isn't just scoring, she's pulling everyone along. And that MVP campaign? It isn't a gimmick. Indiana is putting her season on blast because it deserves to be seen. The points, the efficiency, the defensive assignments, the presence every night. Mitchell is doing it all while carrying the heaviest defensive focus in the league. In a year where chaos could have drowned them, she steadied the boat and steered it into the playoffs. So when she told her teammates, "You've seen our growth," it cut through the room like a spotlight. These weren't empty words. They came from the same player who has been there every single night, who didn't sit when she could stand, who didn't fold when the roster cracked. Growth is what defines them now. From role players reborn, to rookies finding their footing, to veterans proving they're not done. It's not about Clark missing time. It's about everyone else learning how to carry the fight. That's what makes this season more than just a playoff berth. It's a foundation. The first winning record in a decade, forged out of injuries and doubt, is now proof that the Fever can become contenders sooner than anyone thought. Clark will be back, but when she returns, she's stepping into a team that has playoff scars, chemistry, and belief. Not a rebuild. A rise. The Fever were supposed to be a story for tomorrow. Instead, they've written themselves into the present. Mitchell's scoring, Boston's dominance, a bench that swings games, a culture that refuses to break. This isn't survival. It's a statement. Now the question becomes, how far can they push it? What happens when resilience meets the postseason spotlight? One thing is certain. You've seen their growth? Now the league is about to see their fire. What do you think? Can this Fever team make noise in the playoffs even without Clark on the floor? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter of Indiana's rise.